What's up everybody, welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. Hope you're all doing great and welcome to this new video here on the markets. We'll talk a little bit about the fundamentals of the markets, which is obviously very important. We'll talk about Bitcoin, we'll talk about XRP. XRP actually had some meaningful moves over the course of today, so that's going to be very interesting as well. Because I'm very happy we made the video in the morning because first of all for XRP, I think yesterday morning I said, I think it's most likely we're going to pull back. And this morning I said, you know what, we actually do have some strength here. We might be able to get to 2.6 today, which happened. So I'm happy about that. Hopefully some of you, and I know some of you in the groups actually took some profits on that. So that's great. But that's what we'll do. And then we'll talk about some altcoins, especially narratives that I think can do well. Because I do think that's the name of the game at this point of time. Find narratives. And try to be early to those narratives. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Overall, the volume today is very high again. So that's in general good for the markets. Overall, the markets have not been amazing, all right? First of all, the market is very correlated, which is never a good sign. Some coins are outperforming. You can see XRP, for example, is outperforming. Great. But overall, it's quite correlated. And that's strange, because if you take a look at the stock markets, you can see that, yes, it's a red candle, but the stock markets have opened much higher. Even though Bitcoin at this point of time is trading at the same levels as last week, Thursday, right? Even though over the course of the weekend, we actually had some good news. And that good news has sent the stock markets higher, and it has sent gold and the volatility index down, which is usually positive for crypto as well. But crypto is not really reacting to that, all right? So can we make sense of that? I don't know. I mean, obviously, Bitcoin has outperformed the stock market over the last couple of weeks, so maybe this is just to bring it into balance a little bit more. I would say that's most likely. But there's not a lot of very strong buying for Bitcoin. The bottom is being defended. I mean, you can see the volume has been incredibly low. Basically the entire time while we were pushing down here, but I mean, volume defending the bottoms is still great. And ultimately, look, we'll talk about Bitcoin in a moment. I'm still bullish on Bitcoin, right? And if you watch my video this morning, you'd know that. But there are some things we need to be cautious about. So let's talk about that. I mean, I think we've talked about the fundamentals enough. On the higher time frames, as long as Bitcoin is able to hold this level right here between 101 and 102,000, I think it's bullish. And I still think you should have a bullish bias. And I think you should look for long opportunities on Bitcoin and on altcoins. However, if we zoom in, and this is going to be very interesting, I think at least, but that's obviously I'm a little bit biased. If we zoom in, it's not great. What I said in the Signal group earlier this morning is that, you know, the main level I'm looking at is this level here at 103.8, which is a bit of an intraday resistance and support level, as you can see. And if we're unable to hold that, then that's bad news. And what you can see is that we dropped down below that, and then we got back into the balance we made from Thursday until Sunday, right? So that's between this level right here at like 102,500, which is still functioning as support right now. So is there really a reason to be afraid? I would say no. But we're between 102,500 and 103,800. And you can see we drop down below the POC here. That's in general, that's quite bearish on the lower time frames, right? And at this point of time, if we really zoom into the 15-minute time frame, I'm not convinced. I mean, do I think that a bottom is coming in? And do I think ultimately this level between 102,000 and 101,000 is going to hold? Yes, all right. I mean, you can see some bullish divergences here with the volume becoming lower, with the price going lower as well. So that means that there's less strength behind the moves down. And outside of that, the RSI has also made a higher low on the lower time frames. But given the fact that we've dropped down below the POC, and that we're just in general not gaining much strength, I would say short term it's still most likely will pull back a little bit lower. The S&P 500, for example, also still has a gap to the downside which it can fill. So I think short term it's still most likely we're going lower, but ultimately I do think, maybe with a fake out below, but ultimately I do think that this level around 101 and 102,000 is going to hold. We can consolidate there and then get a move back into 103,200 and 103,700. And from there we'll see again. But ultimately I do think that this balance, or this previous balance we've had between 101,500 and 106,000 is going to hold. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. By the way, tomorrow we have CPI and inflation rate data. I'll try to be live streaming during that, but more updates on that tomorrow morning. Talking about some altcoins here. First of all, XRP. XRP has been very, very strong today. I expect that to continue. We've been strong enough to break above 2.41 here. Great news, first of all. But the volume is also incredibly high. So we've hit the price target we talked about earlier this morning. Here at 2.62. We have some imbalances to the downside. The market in general is a bit weaker. So do I expect a pullback? Yes. All the way down to 2.41? I don't think so. But I do expect somewhat of a pullback. And then I think it's most likely that we were going up higher towards 2.75 and 2.9, which on the higher time frames is this huge resistance level. Quite a big one as well. And then lastly, talking about altcoins, there's one narrative that I wanted to talk about in this video, and that's the BNB ecosystem. All right, so the Binance coin ecosystem. What we have seen over the course of today, first of all, is general strength together with the markets, but the volume for BNB today has been pretty great, and that also is in line with relatively high volume for ecosystem projects. Right, so if you take a look at Bake, for example. Bake has broken out above a significant resistance level, with volume could be better, but volume has been elevated over the last couple of days. And then if you take a look at a meme coin, for example, right here, TST, which is within the range, but that has had a huge volume candle as well. And I think in general, you should never underestimate Binance. So keep an eye on that ecosystem, right? So that's TST, that's BNB, that's PancakeSwap, all those coins. That would be my pick for today to keep an eye on, but that's what I think you need to know for now. So thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in my next videos, and take care. Bye.